Radio.com and on your smartphone or tablet with the Ad Astra Radio app. Coming up, the Midway Motors drive to the game as Aaron West and Chris Schenk break down tonight's matchup. You're listening to Bueller Crusader Football on HKFM.
Allen Samuels, Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram and Hutch are proud supporters of high school sports. And of course we are proud to support our community any way we can. Good luck to all of our athletes this season. We hope you have a fun and memorable and most of all, healthy season. Be safe. Allen Samuels, Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on the giant corner of Lorraine and 30th in Hutch or online 24/7 at allensamuelshutch.com. Come by. Let's be friends.
Well, a pleasant good evening, everybody, on this football Friday night in late September. It's time for Week 4, homecoming tonight from Crusader Stadium in Bueller, as the 2-1 Crusaders get set to host the 2-1 El Dorado Wildcats. Hi, everybody. Aaron West alongside Chris Schenk, Tyler Adams here in the booth. Matt Atherton will be along the sideline tonight as we get ready for boy, what a change in the weather, fellas. A beautiful night tonight as that sun gets ready to go behind the trees to our west. Might actually be a little chilly by the end of the game tonight, so looking forward to it.
Well, we even had a few sprinkles earlier in the day. We were afraid that we were going to get rained on a little bit, but it's going to be a beautiful night for football.
And we got Big Baldy on the sideline tonight somewhere.
That is not very nice, my friend.
Hey, I'm just getting warmed up here.
I hear you.
How are you, man?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Looking forward to some football tonight. Bueller and El Dorado, the 17th game all time in the series. And the Crusaders have won 14 straight coming in to 2021. Well, last week an 18-7 win at Winfield, hard fought over the Vikings. Bueller ran 52 plays, 336 total yards in the game, 6.5 a carry. They passed for 102, rushed for 234. Penalties at times were an issue for the Crusaders, 7 for 50. Bradley Neal, 6 of 9, very efficient, 102 yards and a touchdown. Sam Elliott ran for 32 and 179 with a touchdown. The big difference in the game, Christopher, was the defense forcing those 4 turnovers. The 3 INTs, 2 by Deontay Campbell, the one that was returned for a touchdown by Jackson Childs. And then Childs created the fumble recovered by Matt Eddy.
Yeah, anytime a defense can score points, that takes an incredible amount of pressure off the offense. And Bueller not just being +1 in the turnover margin, but being plus what they were, that's a recipe for success. And, kind of the fun thing about it, a season is a journey, and it's been fun to see this team continue to grow and develop. And the crazy thing is we're already a third of the way through the regular season, and so it'll be interesting to see how this second third goes.
Guys, I want to just mention I was down in that south end zone, standing outside the south end zone when Jackson scored that touchdown, and it was so fun. I happened to be standing in the perfect spot to see that ball get popped up in the air and land in his hands, and it was so cool. I've seen Jackson Childs play a lot of football. Really, really a fun moment, kind of one of those things that's such a cool high school memory for that kid to be able to score down there like that. It was a special moment.
And beneficial to him that he was close to the end zone. He didn't have to run very far.
Yes. Yeah. That's sometimes a D lineman makes a pick and they've got to run like 40 or 50 yards, and you can see when the gas runs out. But he had one of the shortest pick sixes you'll ever see.
Yeah, I think he caught it and was like, "Oh, I should go now." He did such a great job.
Yeah, fantastic job by the defense. It really has been a difference maker here early in the season, and. We'll talk with Coach Colson, our Armored Up segment, coming up here about this. But the maturation of that defensive secondary was a new group coming into last year. You've got 2 corners in Deontay and Cameron Campbell that didn't start playing football until they were sophomores in high school. And so what a big leap they've made in a short amount of time.
Well, and the thing you talk about just how the defense has gotten better. That win over Winfield, especially with Coach Lewis, that's a team that's going to line up and run right at you and be physical. They had a good back in Acosta, and the defense really played well. That's not that's not a poorly coached team. I mean, that's a team that's a physical team, and I really do think Winfield will be a winning record season. Have a winning record and be somebody that's in the playoffs and maybe wins a couple rounds.
Yeah, the thing about Acosta, he's not a normal high school back. That kid's built like a tank. He runs behind his pads, and so when you're coming up to make a tackle, you're going to have to get low. You're going to have to wrap him up. You're not going to arm tackle that young man, and so it took a tremendous amount of discipline, I thought, defensively, and I think Coach Coles has got to be really happy with the way that the guys responded to that.
Interesting. Here we are in week 4, and a 4th straight week that we're going to play a running team in El Dorado. Things kind of go in cycles. We had the big spread offenses that came into play, and we'll see a couple of those later in the season, but it seems like some of the more traditional power running style of football is coming back.
Yeah, and I've always felt like, too, in Kansas, the teams that really make runs are the teams that run the football, because you can get away with throwing the football on beautiful nights like this, but there's going to be days in October, November where it's going to be wet, it's going to be windy, it's going to be snowy.
Cold.
And
cold.
Throwing the football at the high school level, if it's bad weather, gets really difficult.
Yeah, I agree with you. And even to take that a step further, winning teams have to be able to run it, because that's how you salt away a victory. And so if you're going to be a big defense, you've got to be able to force teams to become what they don't want to be, right, Chris? So, you've got to make running teams throw the ball to beat you, and you've got to make throwing teams run the ball to beat you, and Buhler did that last week.
And T-Money, of course, we talk about the running game. Buhler would like to throw somewhere in the vicinity of 10 times a game. We commented last week that we saw Bradley really starting to get comfortable and confident in the pocket, and it's been unfortunate that Brock's been hampered at receiver a little bit here, but boy, Matt Eddy's really stepped up in his absence. So.
Well, Cliff, you talked about last week how in your sights of Buhler football game, your perfect game would be about 10 pass attempts per game. And so for them to be able to get 9, they were pretty successful with that. And then Matt Eddy being able to step up big time with Brock being gone. He didn't practice a lot either this week. He's still fighting that injury. But for Matt Eddy and other guys to be able to step up last week is just huge.
Yeah, 9 different receivers have caught a pass so far in the first 3 weeks.
And I tell you what, that as an old offensive coordinator, that would make me so happy, because then that makes it to where a defense can't really just say, hey, well, you got to take away this guy and we're going to be great. I mean, the more guys that have caught a football, the more it makes it, you got to take every single guy every time they split out seriously.
I'll take that a step further. I think you add to that the fact that Bradley has been very efficient with his throws. The throw that my mind goes back to, really, it wasn't last week, it was a couple weeks ago. You'll remember that wheel route that Sam released out over into this far side, in the north side. He released on a wheel route that ended up being a touchdown throw by Bradley, but that throw was just indicative of what Brad's done so far this year. He set that right into Sam's hands. And think about last week, the touchdown that he threw on the post pattern to Matt Eddy, where that ball hit Matt in stride. Brad is just more and more comfortable. You can see him, Chris, I think, stepping into his throws, into the pocket. He's not, it seemed like last year there were times he was throwing off of his back feet too much, and he got in trouble. He's being able, because that young offensive line is doing a good job giving him time, he's able to step into those throws. And as you said, as an old offensive coach, when your quarterback is able to step confidently into his throw, you like the outcome a whole lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. See if that growth continues, certainly as we push toward some teams that are going to be able to maybe defensively try and take away that run and force Buhler to pass here coming up later in the season. Well, the Crusaders talked about Bradley, 57% completion. Certainly the offense flows through Sam Elliott, and the maturation of that offensive line, too, will be important as well tonight. Mentioned the series, 17 games, 16-1, Buhler all-time. And they are 15-0 in the Steve Warner era, that 15-game win streak. Their only loss against El Dorado came back in 2005, 21-14. They've scored 36 or more points 12 times in this series. They averaged 43.5 points a game. And El Dorado has recorded more than one score in the 17-game series only once. And so it has been a series dominated by the Crusaders, but a much better El Dorado team here in 2021, off to a 2-1 start. More of our Midway Motors drive to the game coming up as you hear our Crusader High Marching Band in the background on homecoming night tonight. You're listening to Crusader Football on HKFM and the Crusader Sports Network.
You're listening to the Midway Motors Drive to the Game. Visit Midway Motors on 30th Street in Hutchinson or online at midwaymotors.com.
Thank you.
Coming up this day in Crusader history as the Midway Motors Drive to the Game continues on HKFM.
At Midway Motors, we are here for you for every mile of life. Whether you're shopping for a new or used vehicle or selling one, Midway Motors will buy your vehicle even if you're not in the market to buy one of ours. Just stop by one of our 5 locations and one of our appraisers will evaluate your vehicle and you can leave with a check the same day. It's fast and easy. Visit midwaymotors.com for more information. Midway Motors, for every mile of life.
For more than 90 years, Hutchinson Community College has been the premier 2-year educational institution in Kansas, offering the highest quality education at an exceptional value. Schedule a personal campus tour today to learn more about what we have to offer. Visit hutchcc.edu/admissions for more information.
Need a little morale pick-me-up in your office? Did you know updating your old fluorescent troffers with flat panel LEDs can boost employee morale and productivity? Sunflower Electric will come to your office, lay out a design, and provide a free estimate that can have big dividends. New flat panel LEDs give better lighting output using less wattage and lasting longer, which means savings for you. Call today at 620-662-0531 or stop by your local Sunflower Electric supply in Hutchinson, Great Bend, or Liberal.
Hey sports fans, all great teams include a great defensive strategy. That's what insurance is all about. Strategy to defend you, your family, and your possessions. This is Jordan Fee. I'm proud to help our clients plan their strategy of protection through the broad range of services we offer at Fee Insurance Group. Call to find out how we can protect your health, life, property, business, and even your retirement savings. Since 1883, we've been here to stand between you and risk.
Visit FeeInsuranceGroup.com, your local trusted choice agent.
HKFM.
Well, hi, everybody. Welcome back on our Midway Motors Drive to the Game. Our This Day in Crusader History. We'll take you back to September the 10th of 2010 at Winfield, a 48-7 win against the Vikings. Brett Vaughn with 2 sacks in that game. He finished the season with 5. That team went 12-1 and lost in the sub-state round of the playoffs to Holton here at Crusader Stadium, 42-7. September the 10th of 2010. Well, the El Dorado Wildcats, we mentioned 2-1. They are 0-1 in league play as they fell last night, or rather last Friday, that is, to Augusta, but off to a pretty good start. You look at where they're at last year, 5-3, first winning season in more than 2 decades. Head coach Wes Bell in his 3rd season at 9-8, formerly the defensive coordinator at Central Missouri. It's really come in, guys, and put an emphasis on playing hard and winning the 4th quarter, being around until the end of the game and giving your team a chance to win.
Yeah, another week of the Crusaders facing a former college coach, and both of these coaches kind of mirror each other too, in that they both really emphasize being physical and running the football, and so a little different offensive attack as far as coming the flex bone tonight instead of kind of just the power eye that we saw last week. But it's definitely going to be a team that El Dorado is trying to improve in that physicality department, and they've gotten so much better. I mean, you think about over the years, it used to be you knew El Dorado was going to be a night that it might be a pretty short night for the first stringers, but this is an El Dorado team that's got some confidence, and it's going to be really important for the Crusaders to get off to a great start tonight.
And Bueller won 36-14 last year at El Dorado, but you remember that game. El Dorado had the lead early. Bradley got sacked in the end zone, fumbled the ball. El Dorado recovered, and early in the first quarter, the Wildcats had a lead in that game.
Yeah, and I mean, they had some confidence, and so just them having some success last year against us, that's going to put a little wind in their sails, and so this team is going to be one that the Crusaders are going to have. They can't sleep on this evening.
Well, with Coach Bell, they've also had their 2 best starts since 2001, going 2-1. In 2001, they also went 2-1, but good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. An 84% run-heavy team. They are replacing their big back in Zach Wittenberg from last year. And, he has Jaden Sundgren has stepped in and done a fantastic job. A senior, 5'10", 197. hard downhill runner, averaging 149 yards a game. He's been another big physical back, but we talk about the downhill emphasis in Christopher as a running back, just what that means.
Yeah, they try to work on running, establishing the run to the inside first to really kind of open up the stuff to the outside. Because bottom line, if you can force or take away an offense's ability to run up the gut and just force them to the side, then it really allows the defense to pursue well. And this is going to be a team that out of the flex, they're going to try to pound it inside, and then get to the edge once they've softened up the middle.
Yeah, and what they do out of that with those two backs on the outside of that option is they're going to try and pitch and get to the edge and get those wide receivers to seal off the edge. And so Bueller's really got to be disciplined and being in the right position to cover the length of the field.
And another thing, too, that really happens when you're defending a flexbone team, your linebackers have a big job. Because if linebackers, and you're nodding down there, Matt, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If linebackers don't play assignment-ready football, they can have big runs, because if you get caught in the trash, there's all sorts of pulling guards and all sorts of misdirection.
You know, I was getting ready to mention that gap responsibilities become very, very important. And I think, personally, as I watch flexbone offenses, your ability for those first guys to shed blockers. If you can make the play at the heel level of the offensive line, all of a sudden it changes everything. Once you get ahead of steam and they're able to get that initial block made, it becomes a whole lot more difficult. So Bueller front four have got to do a good job of shedding the initial block and trying to play that a little deeper in the offensive backfield.
We talked about El Dorado 2-1, 57-1. They beat Labette County last week. That second week of the season, lost to Augusta. Also a win over Independence, outscoring their opponents 33-11 a game so far. And their quarterback Gannon White, he's only attempted 15 passes in 3 games. So they want to run the football. If Bueller can shut down the run, that'll go a long ways in earning a win here tonight. Wildcats run a 3-4 defense. They put those big guys up front. The coach's son is one that we're really going to have to watch out for tonight at defensive end, and that is Gavin Bell. The two defensive ends have really been nightmares for the opposing team here early in the season. So just some challenges that 3-4 presents.
Yeah, with the 3-4, I mean, kids grow up playing football trying to block a 4-man front. And, that's just kind of the base. I mean, that's Bueller's base is the 4-3. And so when you have that 3-man front, your tackles and your ends, really have to communicate to each other, because there's going to be outside linebackers getting walked up to the line of scrimmage. And it really forces you to not just be able to say, hey, these are where the guys are going to be in. They're going to be in the A gap. They're going to be in whatever. And so the guys really have to be ready for the walking up of a linebacker.
It's always a weird thing, isn't it, Chris? Because you see against a 3-man front, there's always an offensive lineman that's initial block responsibility is a linebacker. He's not actually staying at the line and driving the guy right across from him. He's got to go find the guy to block. And that can create really good things offensively, but it can also create some real frustration as the communication has to be really in lockstep.
All right, it is homecoming tonight. We'll have homecoming festivities coming up at halftime. We'll get armored up. Coach Coles joins us to break down the Wildcats even more. Coming up next, our Midway Motors Drive to the Game. You're listening to Crusader Football on HKFM and the Crusader Sports Network.
Midway Motors Drive to the Game. Listen to Crusader Football on your smartphone or tablet with the Ad Astra radio app. Your home for Crusader Football. Join Aaron West and Chris Shank every Friday night on HKFM.
At Dix Phillips 66, our family has kept motorists on the road for nearly 60 years. Hi, this is Janet Dick, inviting you to stop by our locally owned station at 1215 East 4th in Hutch.
Matt,
Dix
when we come back, we'll do the kickoff conditions thingamajigger.
Wherever you're headed, every journey begins with a stop at Dix Phillips 66, 4th and Stevens in Hutch.
Are you building a house?
A swimming pool?
Are your lights flickering?
Call Schmidt Electric.
That's Schmidt Electric. 620-960-6755. Schmidt Electric will take care of all your electrical needs.
Got Spock?
And back here on our Midway Motors Drive to the Game. Time to get armored up. Brought to you by HCU Investment and Insurance Services. Coach Coles joins us. Coach, first of all, just your thoughts on the defense so far. You look at the turnover margin. You're +6 there. And, boy, it's going to be a nice coup first 3 weeks to have your defense making some big plays.
Yeah, it's definitely a positive. It helps things. You know, it sets a tone. We always talk before the game, you know, anytime our defense can get the ball to the offense, good things are going to happen. So, yeah, if we can keep that turnover ratio on the positive side and, like I say, keep pushing it the way it's been going, good things are going to happen. So that's a good indicator of, you know, how hard our kids are playing.
I know we really haven't got to the passing teams yet, but even still, it seems like the maturation of your defensive backs has really been noticeable here in the last couple of weeks. Really think they've played well.
I would agree with that. You know, we have 3 out of our 4 from last year back, and really the new kids that have jumped in there with Cody and Javon, they've really stepped up. And, you know, then we have Brock and the twins, Cameron and Deontay back. And, you know, and we've been working Mason at practice as well. And they're really, like you said, they're maturing. They're doing things well. They're getting their technique, and speed always helps. So that's always a huge positive.
Yeah. How interesting is it in it seems like things go in cycles, but here we are this 4th straight week playing a running team, and El Dorado kind of an old school offense in the flex bone.
Yeah, it's kind of like you said, it's pretty cyclical. You know, Goddard had been a passing team even up through last year with the quarterback that they had. They shifted back to more of a wing T, run-based offense. Andover Central definitely, you know, geared itself to the run with the back they have and the quarterback they have that runs pretty well. And, you know, in Winfield, coming out in robust with the big tailback this week with the flex bone. So, yeah, we're seeing more running teams than we may have 3 or 4 years ago, especially to open the season. But, you know, the defense is geared to, you know, to do what it needs to do one way or the other. We base everything on being fundamentally sound against, you know, everything that people do. So there's tweaks, there's shifts. There's a different mindset against a running team as far as up front in the front 7 especially. But I think the kids have reacted to it well and been pretty physical.
Jaden Sundgren is El Dorado's feature back. He's a senior, 5'10", 197. What have you seen from him in film?
He's a hard runner. You know, he gets downhill. He played a little bit of their slot back last year, so he definitely has some speed. They want to get him the ball. You know, he's anywhere from 15 to 25 carries a game in the first 3 weeks. So he's their workhorse. It's out of an option offense. So the next week it could be, you know, cut in half because that's what the reads give them. So we've got to be fundamentally sound, playing every aspect of it. But he's a workhorse for sure.
All right, Coach. Well, I appreciate your time. Let's go hit somebody.
That's the plan.
That's Coach Cole's Armored Up. We're ready to go. More of our pregame coming up right after this.
The Midway Motors Drive to the Game continues after this. Still to come, we'll take you around the league with a look at other action in the AVCTL. Chris brings tonight's to the game. The Midway Motors Drive to the Game on HKFM.
New Felt's Flooring, your